Hi, this is Nicholas Bell with IONCINEMA, here to review The Witches, directed by Robert Zemeckis, which will be available on HBO Max October 23rd, 2020. So, of course, this is a remake of the 1990 film directed by Nicholas Roeg, which in turn is based on Roald Dahl's 1983 YA novel of the same title. This version, Zemeckis penned it alongside Guillermo del Toro, who wanted this to be stop motion originally, and Kenya Barris, for a novel approach to the material that is assisted somewhat by the CGI effects. Robert Zemeckis is a director who seems to prefer to work on large canvases with CGI, sometimes to his detriment. And this, he's a little blindsided, I think, by the effects side of it, but otherwise, while it does pale in comparison to the 1990 version, there's a lot to enjoy here. This version is relocated from Britain and Norway to 1968 Alabama, where a young boy, played by newcomer Jahzir Bruno, making his debut, loses both his parents in a car accident, and he goes to live with his grandmother, played by Octavia Spencer. An altercation with a strange woman finds his grandmother explaining that there are witches out there, and she has experience with them because as a young girl she saw one of her friends turn into a chicken, and she reveals that she's somewhat of an herbalist, kind of a good witch vein, so she absconds with her grandson to a very fancy hotel, which she has an inn at because she's related to the head cook. Little does she know that Anne Hathaway, playing the Grand High Witch, is holding a convention at the same time period with a whole coven of witches that are planning on opening candy stores throughout the world, selling candy laced with a new potion that will turn the children into rats. Jahzir Bruno's character is privy to this, gets turned into a rat, etc. The rest of the film details the grandmother first trying to find an antidote, and then with the help of the three rats, poisoning the witches and turning them all into rats themselves. So if you're worried at all about the kind of sacrilege of messing with the cult classic, Zemeckis does more or less okay. You can see the stamp of Barris and del Toro, I think, in the writing, but it's really Octavia Spencer who walks away with the main selling point, I think. She's very entertaining in every sequence. She's taking over from Mai Zetterling, who was kind of a standard, friendly old grandmother in the original. If Angelica Houston was the original selling point, Anne Hathaway does what she can with the part. It's obviously she's having a lot of fun. She nails the physicality of it. I think the special effects having to do with her jaw, which looks a bit kind of like the Joker / reptilian, it ends up feeling a bit one note, especially compared to the marvelous practical effects of the original. It just depends too heavily on this. Her accent as well, I couldn't quite tell if she's trying to do Zsa Zsa Gabor or Melania Trump. It feels like a combination of those two things, which is likable and fun. It's just that it ends up kind of seeming like the less she speaks, the better. Stanley Tucci doesn't have as much to do as the hotel manager, filling in for Rowan Atkinson. It was produced by Cuarón and del Toro, and it just feels like this could have been a lot weirder and darker, and this is kind of a mainstream version. I do appreciate in relocating it to the Deep South, and of course Chris Rock is narrating as the older version of the boy, kind of stressing some racial subtext, and also by keeping the young boy Bruno he makes friends with, played by Codie-Lei Eastick, British, I think, is also pertinent to what the United States is like in this period as well. Overall, it's a lot of fun. Don't have too high expectations. Sometimes the special effects are great, sometimes they're very questionable, such as the use of a completely CGI'd black cat familiar to Anne Hathaway that could have really been spruced up if they'd used a real cat. Overall, I would give it 3 out of 5 stars.
Hey, this is Eric from IONCINEMA.com. If you want to support us, subscribe below. For more reviews, interviews, film festival coverage from Sundance, Cannes, Toronto, you want to check out these guys on this side.